Hello and welcome. You're now looking at a search engine and we're going to type in the search OpenAI and then the words chatbot. We're then going to click enter and we're going to start the search process. You're going to see a number of search results. The search result that you want to look for will say chat.openai.com. In some cases, what you will need to do is you will need to click the notification button in order to get OpenAI to allow you to enter the system. And you're going to need to write in your email address. We're then going to click submit. You'll then be notified when ChatGPT is going to be ready to allow you to start your account. As of the recording of this video, once you get access, you will have an interface that looks like the one on your screen. On the left side menu, you will have previous conversations that you have with the OpenAI chatbot. You will also have access to an area that allows you to use the dark mode. You can switch back to light mode. You can also join the OpenAI Discord. And if you have an account with Discord, you can join the Discord with your existing account or start a new one. You can then access a notification page of any updates with ChatGPT. One of the articles that you'll see typically pinned to the top will be frequently asked questions. And it's a good idea to look at these frequently asked questions before you begin using ChatGPT. And you're going to want to understand these things before you get started. You will typically see, and this will tell you what changes have been recently made with ChatGPT. And again, as of the recording of this video, you will be able to determine the updates that ChatGPT has made. Okay, so with that, thanks, and I will see you in another video. Welcome back. Another source of information about OpenAI chatbot will be to visit the website itself. And what you're going to want to do is to go to the area in your search bar and then go to openai.com. You're then going to want to scroll all the way to the bottom, and you're going to see several aspects of the OpenAI company. And just as you would do an investigation on information about any other website or company, you're going to want to see what OpenAI says about itself. In particular, in the About Us section, as well as the OpenAI research. If you want to determine more that OpenAI says about itself, you want to visit the Publications section. The API in OpenChatbot allows you to integrate with the platform. You are going to want to pay attention to the pricing element. That means then that if you are willing to program an application, you can interact with the models within OpenAI to connect to the data. And you'll need to pay attention to the pricing as of the recording of this video. You'll see pricing for image interaction. You'll also see pricing for language interaction. Before using the API, you are going to want to read the terms and policies of OpenAI. When you click this link, you're going to notice that it says ChatGPT, but it's not going to take you back to the chatbot. What this is going to do is to take you to a specific page telling you more about the chatbot. And this is where you want to read about what OpenAI chatbot actually does. And you're going to see examples, as of the recording of this video, of what OpenAI chatbot can do. You're also going to learn how OpenAI chatbot works, how it improves itself, and how it actually uses machine learning to provide the information that it gives you when you do a query. You're going to want to pay specific attention to the limitations that the chatbot says about itself. And we're going to stop the video here, and we're going to pick it up in the next video to discuss the limitations. Okay, so with that, thanks, and I will see you in another video. Welcome back. Now, it's important to understand the limitations of ChatGPT, especially what the company says are its limitations. The most important element is going to be the very first limitation, and you're going to see this here as of the recording of this video. You'll notice that it says that ChatGPT writes plausible sounding but incorrect and nonsensical answers. And that for what ChatGPT does, this is not something that the model itself will be able to fix. And so you'll need to be aware of that when you use information that you get from the actual chatbot. In the second area, it says that in some cases you can restate a question and get different answers from the chatbot. So if you don't like the response you're getting, it's a good idea to restate the input that you're putting in order to get the output from the chatbot. The third bullet point, it openly states that the open chatbot can use more words than it should, and in some cases will overuse certain phrases. So this is something that you are going to want to be aware of. Another very important element to the information that you're getting back from the chatbot is the fact that ideally you would want the chatbot to ask you clarifying questions. However, what the model does is it assumes what you intended. So again, that's very important for you to understand when you're getting the information from the chatbot. And lastly, the chatbot will do what it can to refuse what it views to be inappropriate requests to the model. Okay, so with that, thanks, and I will see you in another video. Welcome back. From the limitations page, there is a link that you can click on as a recording of this video that will take you to a documentation page. One of the things that you can do is you can go to this link that says examples. And even though this is designed to communicate with coders and people who are going to integrate the chatbot into a system that they are building, this page will give you clues on the kinds of things that you can ask ChatGPT to do. This list is categorized by certain elements. And in some cases, the elements are peculiar to ChatGPT, and so they won't necessarily translate into something that makes sense. However, it's a good idea to click each one of these and note the use case that is being described. For example, you'll see here that we can click movie to emoji. And then you'll see here that we can use this prompt. We can convert movie titles into an emoji. And so to test this system, what we're going to do is we're going to copy this prompt exactly as it is. And we are going to place the command inside of the dialog box. We're then going to click Shift-Enter and Shift-Enter again. And we're going to write in several additional commands so that the chatbot will know what we are looking for. Once we've written our information in, we're then going to click Enter. And ChatGPT has given us the output as we have asked for it. So basically, you can use these examples as prompts for information that you can place in ChatGPT as is given to you here in this area. Okay, so with that, thanks, and I will see you in another video. Welcome back. As of the recording of this video, OpenAI is testing a paid version of the ChatGPT model. And so depending on where you read your business news, you will see that at some point there's going to be a wait list for this professional application. You are now looking at smartcompany.com. It is a blog that has news and information on the ChatGPT interface, and you will find that there is information about ChatGPT where you can click on a link and fill out a form to become part of the waitlist for the paid application. You will then be able to fill out this Google form in order to be considered for the trial. Okay, so with that, thanks, and I will see you in another video. Welcome back. You can ask ChatGPT to help in the content generation process. Specifically, you can ask ChatGPT to scrape the internet for specific ideas related to a topic. For example, assuming that your topic was how to market your business on Facebook, we can look for potential topic areas for a specific context. We can start the process by writing in a simple command. And we're going to give the command, and we're going to ask for a specific number of results in our command. We're going to click Enter. What's going to happen then is ChatGPT is going to produce a list as we have asked it to do. Once we have our list within this area, we can go back and qualify this list. What we can then do is we can ask ChatGPT to rewrite the list, and we are going to qualify it with an additional statement. We're now going to click Enter, and we're going to wait for the results. And ChatGPT will assist us in creating our list of ideas. We can then write a qualifying command. So once we've written our qualifying command, we can then click Enter. And ChatGPT will help us to qualify our information. So we can write qualifying commands for the list that we get back and get more focused results. Okay, so with that, thanks, and I will see you in another video. Welcome back. We can use the information that we get from ChatGPT in order to create specific content for specific audiences. For example, we can take our qualified information and we can use it in order to create a specific outline that we can use in order to compose presentation content. For example, assuming that we were to give ChatGPT a specific command in order to give us an outline of some of the information that we have produced. And we would then give ChatGPT the commands that we want it to undertake. Once we have the content that has been generated by ChatGPT, we can then look for references. One of the things that we don't know is whether the information that we have is accurate. And so what we need to do is we need to be able to search to determine from reputable sources whether the information that we have is accurate. What we can then do is we can ask ChatGPT to give us reference information for our qualified list. And so we are going to request that ChatGPT give us a list of references and where we can find the references. We are then going to click Enter. Again, because one of the weaknesses, as stated by ChatGPT, is that there may be inaccurate information in scraping from the web, we can ask ChatGPT to give us specific web-based references that we can go to verify any of the information that we have. And so we can give ChatGPT a specific command for those references and where we can find the references outside of those in books that have been published. And so we are going to use our list and we are going to ask ChatGPT to give us a list of web-based references. We are going to add in a qualifying command in order to ask for the specific URLs where we can find these references. And so once we have written our command, we can then click Enter. So basically what we have now done is we have now created a system of references for the information that we have asked ChatGPT in order to retrieve for us. We have also mitigated the weakness of ChatGPT in seeking out these references. In another video, we will undertake the process of citation for your idea and research process. Okay, so with that, thanks, and I will see you in another video. Welcome back. When you are in the midst of a research project and you're using ChatGPT, you can use the platform in order to increase accuracy and provide citation for the project that you are creating, specifically that project that you're using ChatGPT in order to generate. If you work within the same context as your project, what you can do is you can write in commands requesting specific kinds of citation. For example, we are going to write in a command for personal verification and citation. And so we are going to request specific information. We're going to add in a qualifying command, and we're going to add in a stretch command. We're now going to click Enter. And so you will notice we now have a list that we can use for citation. We can go one step further and we can request for specific information that we can use to verify our research. We can request information on specific courses that we can use in order to determine specific aspects of accuracy in what it is that we are producing. And so if we wanted to verify with a specific online course, we could do that. And we can provide a command to ChatGPT in order to do it. And finally, if we wanted to use something other than paid references, we can use free references available already on the internet. And so we can request for specific YouTube URLs to verify our information. And as you can see, ChatGPT remembers what it is that we are working with, provided that we remain within the same chat area. So we're now going to give ChatGPT a specific command. In this case, ChatGPT completed its results but did not provide us URLs for the last topic. So we're going to go back and we're going to request that ChatGPT give us the information for our last point in our topic. And we're then going to click Enter. So you can verify information, provide accuracy and citation for any information that you choose to retrieve from ChatGPT. Now, this isn't a direct citation of the information that ChatGPT has given you. However, we are requesting a workaround for this citation. Okay, so with that, thanks, and I will see you in another video. Welcome back. Now, if you are not specifically knowledgeable about areas of HTML code, you can ask ChatGPT in order to help you to create instances of HTML code. And you can write your request in plain language, and you can allow ChatGPT in order to give you an output that you can try. And to do that, all we need to do is to write in the command as we want to see it. We're now going to write in our command, and we're now going to click enter. And we're going to allow ChatGPT in order to help us to create this specific command, and we can use it on a specific page for us to use in our business. Now, you want to make sure that you copy the response to a separate area. You also want to make sure that you keep the information in your chat history so that you can find it when you need it. In some cases, you may come back to the interface and you may find that in a period of high usage on ChatGPT that you can't access this, and so you will want to make sure that it is copied to a place where you can access the information if you're not online or if ChatGPT is at capacity. Okay, so with that, thanks, and I will see you in another video. Welcome back. Now, any business problem that we have that is internet-based, we can query ChatGPT to determine if there is a solution available that may be hidden from us in the search engines. To do that, we're going to go to a new conversation. We're then going to go to ChatGPT, and we're going to ask a plain language question of a business problem that we may be having for something specific to our online presence. Now, anytime that you start a new chat on the left side menu, you are basically starting a conversation. And so you can start with a question that will seem broad, and then you can come back and narrow down your question based on the results that ChatGPT gives you. So what we're now going to do is click enter. So what you have is you have an initial set of information. You can now come back and you can ask a qualifying question in order to continue the conversation and solve your business problem. And again, when you are typing in commands, even though you're typing in plain language, understand that you are typing into a machine. You are also typing in a machine that is scraping the internet for answers for your question. We are now going to click enter. Now, obviously, we can type in all of the qualifiers into one question area. What we're demonstrating now is the nature of a conversation. What we now have is specific information. We can now type in a follow-up question based on that information. And we're now going to click enter. Now, you'll notice then that ChatGPT has given you information, and this information that it has given you, even though it does not provide the direct answer that you've asked, is actually accurate if you wanted to look for the actual answers to the question that we have queried it with. And we can type in a follow-up question about the information. As you can see here, we've typed in a follow-up question and we've been given an answer. So you can use ChatGPT in order to solve specific business problems by using one screen at a time and by asking follow-up questions. Okay, so with that, thanks, and I will see you in another video. Welcome back. Now, because basically ChatGPT scrapes the internet for information that it gives you when it provides answers in plain language, you can save time in the research, verification, and citation process. If we were to use the same topic as we were in one specific conversation, we can then look for independent verification of our topic area. We can then use a query and we can search for statistical verification of any information that we can find. So what we're going to do now is we're going to type in a statistical request query and we're going to press enter. And ChatGPT does give us the information that we were requesting. One of the things you'll notice is that in its answer, likely due to the load on the server in the free version, the query did not complete, as you can see here in point number 5. That meant then that we could go back and we can ask ChatGPT in order to complete what it is that it had typed. And we use a plain language request in order to do it. We then got the plain language answer in the completion of that point. Okay, so with that, thanks, and I will see you in another video. Welcome back. One of the things that ChatGPT will do for you is to create new context for content that you already have or for ideas that you already have. For example, if we were to take an existing document and we were to take all of the text and to place it inside of ChatGPT, what we're going to do is to give ChatGPT context and to tell the chatbot to write it in the context that we specify. Once we have the context, we're going to click Shift Enter, and we are then going to paste in our article. We're then going to click Enter, and we're going to allow ChatGPT to rewrite the article. Now, it's a good idea to take your content that you have created and to move it through other applications. One paid application we can run our content through is Copyscape. Now, Copyscape does have a charge associated with it. However, the charge is minimal, and you can do what's called a premium search so that Copyscape can check your content against other content on the internet. We're now going to click Premium Search, and our content has now passed the Copyscape test. We can also run the same content through another system. We can place the same content inside of the Grammarly plagiarism checker, and we can then scan our new content for plagiarism. According to Grammarly, no plagiarism is found. If you have an account with Grammarly, you can fix other issues according to Grammarly when it comes to the writing. However, we can run the same content through another tool that's commonly available to individuals that use the Microsoft suite of products. Okay, so with that, thanks, and I will see you in another video. Welcome back. If you are a user of Microsoft Word and you use it for writing, you may be familiar with the spelling and grammar tool and the thesaurus tool, and these have been traditionally available to users of Microsoft Word and Microsoft Office. As of the recording of this video, there is a new tool available using AI, and it's called the Microsoft Editor. You're going to see it here in this area inside of the review menu. It's also available on the home menu. And what you're going to do is to activate the editor mode. What will happen is that the editor will then analyze your document, and it will determine if you have elements that need to be corrected, and will tell you what those elements are. What you can also do is you can determine a different voice for your content. What has been specified already is that the content has been formal, and so formal is the appropriate element to be selected here. What you can then do is to clarify any issues that the editor has raised. And you're going to see an element here that the AI has decided that needs to be fixed. And you'll notice that the editor has determined that the article is appropriate for formal writing. So one thing that you'll want to do is to move your content through the Microsoft Word editor to determine if there are elements that you can fix. Now, if you don't use Microsoft, you can typically get a browser extension of a Grammarly grammar checker that you can add to either Microsoft Edge or use it along with Google Docs if you use their browser. Okay, so with that, thanks, and I will see you in another video. Welcome back. One of the things you can do with ChatGPT is that you can take content that may be difficult to understand and to place it inside of ChatGPT in order to ask the chatbot to help you by making the language simpler to understand. And this can especially be the case when you are working with scientific and/or academic studies. What we're going to do in this case is we're going to copy this information. We're going to place it inside of the chatbot, and we're going to ask the chatbot to help us to understand it by taking this information and placing it in more plain language. Now, one alternative in our example information is we could use the phrase, make this understandable to a 5-year-old. However, we're not going to use that particular phrase. We're going to go ahead and paste in the abstract from the academic study. What we're now going to do is we're going to hit enter, and ChatGPT will give us a simplified explanation of this information. And what you'll notice is a shorter, simplified explanation. And so one thing that ChatGPT can do for us is to simplify information that may be difficult to understand. Okay, so with that, thanks, and I will see you in another video. Welcome back. One of the ways to work with ChatGPT is to first ask the chatbot if it is familiar with specific context, content, or frameworks before you begin a line of inquiry. For example, we can write in a specific framework so that we can ask, in plain language, ChatGPT if it is familiar with that framework. So you can write in the framework that you want to ask ChatGPT about, and you can then click enter. And ChatGPT will then tell you whether it is familiar with the framework or the content that you are looking for. In some cases, if we restate our question, we will be able to get a fuller explanation of the framework that we're looking to work with. Once you understand that ChatGPT understands the framework or the content that you are looking for, you can then begin to use that content or that context for future queries. We will practice this concept in the next video. Okay, so with that, thanks, and I will see you in the next video. Welcome back. We can then use that knowledge that we know that ChatGPT understands a specific framework on previous queries that we have done. So we will then give ChatGPT a query, and we will ask it to use previous information in order to use a framework that we have verified in order to undertake an online marketing activity. We're going to include some additional qualifying information, and we are then going to click enter. And we are going to allow ChatGPT to do what we have asked it to do. So basically what we have now done is we have asked ChatGPT to write a sales letter in a specific context. And we can add on to this element. We can give ChatGPT more instructions for this project. So we can give ChatGPT an additional query, and we can then click enter. And ChatGPT will give us what we have asked for. And we will see it in context in the form that we have written it. Okay, so with that, thanks, and I will see you in another video. Welcome back. Once we have a specific document that we have run through a specific framework and we've made sure it's unique, what we can do is we can add further context to our query. Now this applies outside of this particular application. What we are looking at is the construction of a sales letter. But we can take this concept and we can use it in anything that we are creating inside of ChatGPT. What we are now going to do is we are going to recontextualize our query into more specifics. So basically, we are going to narrow down the focus of the query that we want ChatGPT to give us information about. And we can do this in any context that we want. We are now going to click enter. And we're going to wait for ChatGPT to give us the output. Now the chatbot will attempt to put the information in the context that you require it. It does understand specific queries, even though it will not necessarily match up that query perfectly. We're going to give ChatGPT another query. Now again, when we input a query like this one, we are writing to a machine. And what it will do is it will use its network to try to determine how to output the information in the query that we have asked. We are now going to click enter. So basically, what you'll see is that you are continuing a conversation with the chatbot, and you are continuing in the same information that you have been building since the beginning. And so the chatbot does recognize all of the other information in previous posts. Okay, so with that, thanks, and I will see you in another video. Welcome back. We can ask ChatGPT to suggest to us a specific process to solve a problem. We can do that in any context. In this video, we're going to focus on a business-related problem. However, you can use ChatGPT to suggest a process for any problem that there is a solution being made available on the internet. What ChatGPT will do is to simplify the solution and put it in plain language instead of asking you to look through all of the individual websites. For example, if we were to look at the query, how to market a self-published book, and we were to go to our favorite search engine as of the recording of this video, we would be able to find a solution. However, it would not be in plain language, and we would have to look through the actual websites. You're going to see various improvements being made by search engines. However, you will need to look through the information. The benefit of looking at a search engine is that you'll be able to determine the most reputable sources and the cited information. However, we can look for that same information using ChatGPT to suggest to us a process. Once we write in, we can then click enter, and you will then have a process written in plain language. Again, in order to work around the fact that ChatGPT does not cite, we can ask for citations even though those citations will not be specific to the information that ChatGPT actually gave you. And so to complete the task, we can then ask for ChatGPT to give us specific references. And we can now click enter. And so basically, you can solve a process and ask for ChatGPT to give you specific references to verify the information that it gave you. Okay, so with that, thanks, and I will see you in another video. Welcome back. You can do compare and contrast with information that you get from ChatGPT. For example, if we were to look at this particular set of information that we have queried, we can look at an alternative framework. One of the things you'll notice is that when we write in context with a previous framework, the chatbot will give us additional context to what we have asked. And we can continue with the process. You're going to notice that there is a lot of similarity between the queries that we have returned. And one of the things that you may recall from a previous video is that in some cases, ChatGPT will make a leap in the information that it provides. And so you will need to make sure that you are finding references to verify the information that you are determining. So in this case, what we're going to do is we're going to combine the four contexts into one context. And we are going to click enter. And as has been demonstrated in previous videos, we can then ask for specific references. And again, ChatGPT does remember the context in this particular chat area. We are now going to click enter. And so basically, what we have done is we have determined a framework and we have determined references for each part of the framework that we are going to be working with. Okay, so with that, thanks, and I will see you in another video. In conclusion, using the examples as a guide as to what you can place inside of ChatGPT, you will be able to create scenarios that go beyond the use of a search engine. You'll also want to pay attention to the direction of the chatbot, specifically the research that's being done on the API as well as the chatbot interface. And although you'll see many experts speak to where they think OpenAI is going, you can get a sense for the direction by reading the blog and the research that OpenAI is doing. And in terms of AI in general, there are a number of books available that speak to the broader context of AI and what you can expect from the industry as a whole. And although it doesn't have to be the first priority, if you intend to rely on ChatGPT in the long run, you will want to keep track of the view of the platform from the investment world. This can signal the direction of the company and can give insight on how and when the platform will become a paid application and its overall direction. And of course, you can ask ChatGPT what the best references are about itself. In some cases, ChatGPT will tell you about books. In other cases, ChatGPT will tell you about research papers that you can read to determine where the platform should be going. Okay, so with that, thanks, and I'll see you either in another video or in another course. Hello and welcome. Once you understand how to operate the basics of ChatGPT, you will be able to overcome a blank screen when you need to produce content or you need to produce elements in your business that would otherwise be difficult to construct from scratch. At the same time, you must realize ChatGPT's limitations. It does generate incorrect information. It also might produce information or lines or content that may be harmful to your brand or harmful in general. It also is limited to the content that was on the internet. Now, as of the recording of this video, ChatGPT is limited to the world and events as of 2021. That could change by the time you are looking at this video. Regardless, there are limitations. And so in your production of artifacts for your business, you're going to want to focus on accuracy and citation when you can. But ChatGPT will help you to overcome a blank screen. And that is what we will do in this course, is to undertake the writing of a sales presentation of an information product that you have created. Now, this will not take the place of a personal sales letter, nor will it take the place of a professional copywriter. What it will do is to help you if you have a blank screen in front of you. And so we will start undertaking this process in the next video and in this course. Okay, so with that, thanks, and I will see you in another video. Welcome back. You're going to notice conversations on the left side menu that you had previously with the chatbot. You're also going to notice here at the top that there's a message from ChatGPT that says that they are experiencing high demand. With those two things combined, it is possible that this information that you see saved on the left side menu could be lost. It could be lost due to the high demand. It could be lost due to challenges they may be having on their server. And so you want to make sure that you are saving as you go. And since we are going to use one conversation thread in order to produce a final document, we're going to undertake this process and we're going to use the words final draft whenever we can to indicate that when we want ChatGPT to go back and to get information to produce a final document, we want to produce information from this individual chat with these words as we have written them. So we are writing these words as a signal when we can, and we will do that throughout the production of this document. Now, before we start the process of a sales presentation, we do want to do some background research, and we're actually going to do that with an AI outside of ChatGPT. And we're going to do that with Google Talk to Books. And we will do that in the next video. Okay, so with that, thanks, and I will see you in the next video. Welcome back. Now, it's important to understand the limitations of ChatGPT, especially what the company says are its limitations. The most important element is going to be the very first limitation, and you're going to see this here as of the recording of this video. You'll notice that it says that ChatGPT writes plausible sounding but incorrect and nonsensical answers. And that for what ChatGPT does, this is not something that the model itself will be able to fix. And so you'll need to be aware of that when you use information that you get from the actual chatbot. In the second area, it says that in some cases you can restate a question and get different answers from the chatbot. So if you don't like the response you're getting, it's a good idea to restate the input that you're putting in order to get the output from the chatbot. The third bullet point, it openly states that the open chatbot can use more words than it should, and in some cases will overuse certain phrases. So this is something that you are going to want to be aware of. Another very important element to the information that you're getting back from the chatbot is the fact that ideally you would want the chatbot to ask you clarifying questions. However, what the model does is it assumes what you intended. So again, that's very important for you to understand when you're getting the information from the chatbot. And lastly, the chatbot will do what it can to refuse what it views to be inappropriate requests to the model. Okay, so with that, thanks, and I will see you in another video. Welcome back. Now, ChatGPT is unable to get statistical information from specific websites. And when we are seeking statistical information, we're going to need to work around the fact that their statistics are typically going to be lagging behind the point at which you are going to be producing the artifact requiring numerical or statistical information. If you are willing to abide by the terms of service and to cite the authors, you can use websites such as Statista. And in some cases, some of the statistical information is available for use in your projects without having a paid account. And depending on your topic, you are going to see a considerable amount of information that you may find useful in your sales presentation. A similar site where you can gain this kind of information as well as to be provided a visual chart is going to be the website marketingcharts.com. And again, depending on your topic, you will be able to find updated information that you can use in your sales presentation along with the visual chart to make the point inside of your content. Now, obviously, there are niche-based statistical tools that you can use to work around ChatGPT's inability to go beyond a certain point in time. So you will want to make sure that you have updated statistics with sites like the two that were mentioned, as well as similar sites. Okay, so with that, thanks, and I will see you in another video. Welcome back. One of the things that we can do in doing a sales presentation is we can ask ChatGPT what the best frameworks are for writing sales letters. And so we're going to do that right now. And we're going to ask a specific question, and we're going to ask the chatbot to list 10 frameworks. And once we have our information in, we're then going to click enter. Once you have your frameworks, one of the things that you can do based on the information that you already have in your conversation with ChatGPT is to ask the chatbot to use it as a context. And so that's what we're going to do right now. We're going to ask the chatbot to use one of the frameworks to write a specific sales presentation. And we're now going to click enter. And we're going to allow ChatGPT to do its work with the framework we've asked it to use for the above sales presentation. So once the process is complete, you're going to go through each framework and you're going to determine which of the frameworks you like best in order to work with. Now, in order to go forward, once we've chosen a framework, we're going to work with that framework in detail. Now, for some elements of a sales presentation, we're actually going to use other frameworks, and now that we have them listed in this conversation, we will then be able to use them. Now, we're not yet ready to start creating for a final draft. So what we're going to do right now is we're going to move to the next step of adding in personalized and background information. Okay, so with that, thanks, and I will see you in another video. Welcome back. Now, one of the ways we can personalize or give life to the sales presentation that we're going to be using is to add images. And we can add appropriate images as we see fit, according to the context we're going to be communicating in. One of the other things that we can do with ChatGPT is we can ask the chatbot what kind of images would be appropriate for this particular sales presentation. And we're going to do that right now. We're going to ask ChatGPT to tell us what kind of images would complement this sales presentation. And so we're going to ask a plain language question, and we're now going to click enter. Now that we have ideas on what we're going to add as images, and we have a specific number, we're now going to go back to ChatGPT and we're going to ask it to give us prompts to place inside of an image creator. And so we're going to write the first query, knowing that we may need to rewrite the query until we get what it is that we want. So we're going to ask the chatbot to give us the prompt in order to create the images. We're now going to click enter. Now what we're going to do with these prompts is we're going to take them and we're going to go to an image creator in order to create each of the images. And these are going to be the images that we will consider using in our sales presentation when we do the final layout after we get all of the content from ChatGPT. Okay, so with that, thanks, and I will see you in another video. Welcome back. You are now looking at Canva.com, and we're going to work within Canva.com in order to create the images that we have had suggested to us by ChatGPT. What you'll do first is to create a custom size image. You'll typically create a square image. You'll then create a new design. What you'll then do is to go to your apps area and you're going to choose the text to image application. You're going to see it here on our left side panel, but you can choose it here from the new apps. What you're then going to do is you're going to place in the text from ChatGPT. We're going to select one of the image prompts. Once we have our prompt, we're going to select photo. We're going to then generate the image. And we can select an image that we want. We can add it. And typically what we can do here is we can then set the image at the background. What we can then do inside of Canva is we can download the image. So what we're going to do here is we're going to click download. And we're going to download the image as a PNG file. And we have now created an appropriate image to use in our sales presentation. Okay, so with that, thanks, and I will see you in another video. Welcome back. Now, in a sales presentation, you are typically going to want to have specific headlines. And the best headlines you can use at the top of your sales presentation, and you can use those that are not quite as good as sub-headlines throughout your presentation. And so what you're going to want to do is to ask ChatGPT to give you headlines to use in your presentation. And so we're going to ask ChatGPT to write 5 headlines. We're going to give the chatbot context. So we're now going to give ChatGPT some specific parameters, and we're now going to click Enter. Now obviously we returned an error, so what we did was we pushed the F5 button to refresh our page, and we're going to give ChatGPT another prompt to give us more information. So we are going to alter the text slightly, and we're going to click Enter. And we're now going to get our information. Now the machine did not quite understand our query, so what we're going to do is we're going to ask for 5 specific headlines. And we're now going to hit Enter. So now what we're going to do is we're going to ask ChatGPT to rewrite our sales letter and to use our headlines and our subheadlines. And we're going to give ChatGPT a suggestion. And so what we're going to now do is we're going to now ask the chatbot to write in a different voice for the final draft. And we're now going to click Enter. And we now have our next draft. Okay, so with that, thanks, and I will see you in another video. Welcome back. We are now going to use ChatGPT in order to help us to write a script for our thank you page. So we're going to include some additional elements, and we're going to include the elements that we want the chatbot to consider. Now once again, we are looking for information that we can use in order to help us with a blank page. We may or may not use all of the information that ChatGPT gives us, but we expect to be off to a good start with the information. So we are going to give the chatbot a prompt. As is the case with anything you want ChatGPT to do, the more information that you give it, the better the output it will give back to you. But again, we are using all of the information that we have created inside of this conversation in order to help the chatbot with this process. So now that we have written out our instructions, we are now going to click Enter. Now again, we may or may not like the full text that we receive back from the chatbot. Now in this case, we're going to ask the chatbot to rewrite this thank you page message, and we're going to make a change to it. So we've now added in some additional verbiage. We're now going to click Enter. Now it's at this point that we may need to take the text as we have it, as our query isn't fully clear to the chatbot exactly what we want. So we will work with the first draft of the thank you page and make the adjustment ourselves. But basically, you can give the chatbot instructions so that you can have information to keep you from having a blank page, and you can make any necessary adjustments according to your context. Okay, so with that, thanks, and I will see you in another video. Welcome back. Just as you did for sales letters, it's a good idea to consider what are the best frameworks for writing sales emails to your customers. And so we're going to ask ChatGPT that very same question. It's likely that you'll get the same information that you got for the sales letters. However, there may be different information that it can find when it scrapes the internet. So again, we're going to give as specific a prompt as we can give it. We're then going to click Enter. In this case, you'll notice that the information that we received is going to be slightly different from the information that we received in terms of a framework for a sales letter. And so based on this fact, we may choose one of the unique elements that we receive from ChatGPT in order to write our customer sales email. And so we are going to take one of the frameworks, and we're going to give the chatbot some additional information about writing the email, and we are now going to click Enter. Now in this case, the framework did not seem to help the chatbot to write a sufficient email. So in this case, we're just going to ask the chatbot to write an email selling the product. And this time, we're going to instruct the chatbot not to mention the price. We're now going to click Enter. And in this case, we were able to get better output. And so we have something to work with in terms of our initial email to our customers. What you can do with the context that you have, as long as you continue to keep a conversation about the same project, you will then be able to use all of the previous information in order to give you content starters for specific pieces of content. Okay, so with that, thanks, and I will see you in another video. Welcome back. We're going to take all of the same context that we have generated within this one conversation in order to generate a content starter for a message to affiliate marketers to promote the product that is now being released. And so we're going to give the chatbot some context, and we're going to ask it to write an email to our existing affiliates. So now to undertake this, we're going to make sure to give the chatbot as much context as we possibly can. Once we do that, we're going to click enter, and what we're looking to get is a content starter, even if we choose not to use the entire email written to us by ChatGPT. We're now going to click enter. And we have been given an error message, so what we're going to do is we're going to copy this information, and we're going to hit the F5 button. And we're going to come back, and we're going to try to repaste the same information. And we're going to hit enter to see if our query is going to be answered. So what you'll see is that you have a good content starter with good sales messaging that you can massage for your individual use to send to your affiliates. And that ChatGPT uses the context that we have created in the entire conversation. Okay, so with that, thanks, and I will see you in another video. Welcome back. We are going to use the entire context we have created in order to write a sales video script. Now in this case, what we're going to do is we're going to make sure to give the chatbot enough context to write the script for the sales video exactly the way we want it. What we're going to do is to produce a PowerPoint style sales script of about 2 minutes. And so to do that, we're going to give the chatbot a prompt, and we're going to write the information in here. Once we've written in our detailed prompt, we're now going to click enter. Now we're going to ask ChatGPT to rewrite the script. We're going to ask the chatbot in order to write it in bullet point fashion, and we're going to ask the chatbot to write it for a longer period of time. So we're going to work within the context, and we're going to ask ChatGPT in order to rewrite the script, and we're going to write it for a little longer with this prompt. We're now going to click enter. Now you'll notice that the script is probably not 5 minutes long, and we might have to enter our own information in order to make it, but we do have a content starter. We have the information in all bullet points so that we can place it on our PowerPoint presentation, and we are now ready to begin writing our script for our sales video. Okay, so with that, thanks, and I will see you in another video. Welcome back. Now, if you are a user of PowerPoint, there are AI aspects that you can use in order to increase the effectiveness of your presentation when you begin to record your sales video. If you look inside of the slideshow tab, you're going to see an element here called Rehearse with Coach. You're going to click that link. And basically, this is going to allow you to rehearse your presentation. And you're going to see down on the right side area here, there's going to be an area here where you can start rehearsing. And basically, when you click this button, you are going to narrate your presentation the way that you're actually going to do it so that you can get feedback from PowerPoint telling you areas where you can improve. We're going to go ahead and we're going to click Start Rehearsing, and we're going to narrate our presentation. Hey there, my name is Thomas Duncan, and I'm here to tell you that if you're tired of struggling to stand out on Facebook, then you're in the right place. I know what it's like. You're working hard, but you're not seeing the results you want. You're scrolling through your Facebook feed, and you're thinking, why can't my business be more like that? Now I know you're busy, and you don't have time for a course that takes forever to finish. That's why this course is easy to follow, and you can implement strategies right away. That's not all. You'll also have access to instant support from me throughout, and one-on-one help to ensure that you get the most out of the course. Okay, so what we're going to do here is we're going to stop the presentation, and PowerPoint is going to give us an analysis of our presentation. And if we want, we can click Rehearse Again, and we can rehearse the presentation again. So basically, we're going to use the AI to give us suggestions on what we can do to increase the effectiveness of what it is that we are narrating. Okay, so with that, thanks, and I will see you in another video. Welcome back. Now, PowerPoint has 2 additional AI elements to its operation. One you'll find within the Review tab, and you're going to see it here that you can check accessibility to make sure that if you're going to be giving your presentation to someone in order to read, that it is accessible to individuals that have accessibility issues. You can click here to check to make sure that there are no issues, and this means that your presentation is likely to be compliant with accessibility principles. Now, the other AI element that you have available to you is in the Home tab, and you're going to see it here in the right side, and you can open up what's called the Designer. And that's going to open up the panel on the right side. And basically, you're going to have an AI to give you suggestions on ways that you can put your slide together. And you're going to have several choices for each slide. And basically, you can choose one element for each slide. And each slide can be individually designed. So basically, what you have available to you is that the AI will select different elements for you to determine how you want your slide presentation to look for any occasion that you will be using it for. Now, most cases, a sales presentation will require just a plain background, but you may want to vary it depending on the context that you will be selling your product. Okay, so with that, thanks, and I will see you in another video. Welcome back. We are now going to use the entire existing context in order to write a welcome email for the customers that purchased the product. We're going to give ChatGPT a prompt in order to undertake this task. Now, this first email, we are going to give ChatGPT some instructions. And we're going to tell the chatbot that this email is for one of the first 10 buyers, which we have designated in a previous context that these individuals will receive a one-on-one consultation. And so now that we have all of our information in, we're now going to click Enter. And ChatGPT successfully wrote the email that is a welcome email to one of the first 10 buyers. We are now going to ask the chatbot to write another email for those that purchase after the 10th buyer. So we're going to give ChatGPT another command. We're now going to click Enter. And ChatGPT successfully left out the information for those that came after the 10th purchase. So we can set this up inside of our autoresponder system to make sure that the right people get the right message. Okay, so with that, thanks, and I will see you in another video. Welcome back. We are now going to suggest a layout for the appearance of our sales letter. And in order to do that, we're going to give ChatGPT some instructions in order to create the layout. We're going to write in our instructions. So what we've done is we are going to give ChatGPT some additional instructions. We want the chatbot to give us a layout. We want it to include the images that we have mentioned in this conversation. We want it to position the sales video that we've mentioned in this conversation. And we also want to suggest an element that has not been mentioned in this conversation, which is the buy button or calls to action. Now that we have given the chatbot proper instructions, we're now going to click Enter. What we're now going to do is we're going to attempt to get ChatGPT to rewrite the last sales letter in the context that it has just given us for the layout. So rather than ask the chatbot to remember, we're just going to cut and paste that same sales letter. We're going to ask it to suggest the same layout, but with the sales letter it's already created. We're now going to click Enter. So basically what ChatGPT has done is it has given us a suggested layout. Now obviously we are going to have to make adjustments based on our own experience and what we think we need to do in order to sell to our customer. For example, the sales video is suggested near the end of the actual sales letter. Typically, the sales letter is going to be closer to the beginning or sometimes at the very top. But you do have a starting point to begin your sales letter, and you have a suggestion on how it should be laid out and in the order in which the content should be placed, including the images. Okay, so with that, thanks, and I will see you in another video. Welcome back. Now that we have a proper layout for our sales page, one extra step that we can use ChatGPT in order to help us with are the colors for our sales page. Now, we may or may not get solid information, but we may get suggestions on the background color. We may be able to get suggestions on the color of our headlines. We may be able to get suggestions for the color of our subheadlines as well as our text. And so because of that, we're going to go ahead and ask ChatGPT for these suggestions. The first suggestion we're going to ask for is a background color. Now, once again, we are talking to a machine, and we are talking to a machine that has now context that we have been giving it in one conversation about one subject. So now we're going to ask for a specific aspect of the layout. And so we are going to give it this prompt. We're now going to click Enter. And ChatGPT gives us a suggested background color, which we can test to determine if that's what we want to do. What we now want to do is we want to ask ChatGPT for a suggested color for our headline as well as for our subheadlines. And so we are going to give ChatGPT a simple command, and we're now going to click Enter. And so we have suggestions for the background color, we have suggestions for our headline, and finally, we want to have suggestions for the text of the actual letter. So we're going to write one more prompt to ask for that information. And we're now going to click Enter. Now, more than likely, what we should have done with the prompt in suggesting colors for the main headline or subheadlines is we should have specified that we wanted that information for the sales letter in the above layout. Again, we are talking to a machine, and in some cases, the machine may not know the full context, even though we are still operating in one conversation within ChatGPT. So just for good measure, we are going to ask the question again, suggest colors separately for the main headline and subheadlines for the above layout. Now that we have our request, we are now going to click Enter. And what we have proven with this response that ChatGPT has given us is it actually did understand the context that we had given it when we asked for this information right above. Okay, so with that, thanks, and I will see you in another video. Welcome back. Now, depending on where you live in the world, you can ask ChatGPT to give you information on writing earnings disclaimers and essential pages. If you have a WordPress website, you can typically get these elements inside of certain plugins. However, if you choose not to operate using WordPress, you will want to have some kind of terms of service statement as well as an earnings disclosure, specifically when you're talking about a business-related product. What we're going to do is assume that the business selling this product exists within the United States and that we need to write an earnings disclaimer for this particular business and this particular product that we are selling. And we have our prompt. We are now going to click Enter. Now, anything that you get from ChatGPT should not be used in the place of legal advice. And so if you want to use this as a starting point, you still want to make sure that you are legally in compliance with laws in your country, in your region, and in your local area. Okay, so with that, thanks, and I will see you in another video. Welcome back. We are going to use the context we have created in order to write an opt-in page. And basically, what we're going to do is we're going to give individuals information from one of the modules. Now we're going to ask ChatGPT to write the copy for our opt-in page. So what we're going to do is we're going to paste in what the individuals are going to learn in the lead magnet. We're going to paste that into the dialog box. And then we're going to give the rest of the prompt and instructions to ChatGPT. So we have written in our prompt, and we have given the outline for the content in the lead magnet. So now what we're going to do is we're going to hit Enter. And ChatGPT is going to give us some output. So you can use the entire context that you have created inside of the project in order to create an opt-in page, and that's what we have done. Now we don't have to use all of the content for this opt-in page. However, we are off to a good start with the content that ChatGPT has given us. Okay, so with that, thanks, and I will see you in another video. In conclusion, it's important to note that all of the assets that we have created in this course, we have created primarily with one ChatGPT conversation. And you'll see it here marked at the bottom on our left side menu. What we've done is we've leveraged this in getting responses with ChatGPT to complete our entire project. We are now going to complete this project by writing an opt-in email for individuals that have received the free report, and then to remind them that there is a product that they can purchase that will help them beyond the scope of the lead magnet. We are going to give ChatGPT the prompt in order to do it. So we are going to give several elements to the prompt, and we're going to bring those elements in. And basically, now that we have the elements of our prompt, we are now going to click enter so that we can get our opt-in email. Now, one of the things you'll note about the opt-in email is that the chatbot remembered our support link. We didn't have to tell it what that support link is. And that has everything to do with us using the context that we have created inside of one conversation. And so if you're going to be working with a specific project, it's a good idea to try to do all of that project inside of one conversation. At the same time, though, you want to make sure that you're saving everything that you do, since there is the possibility that ChatGPT could lose that information. Okay, so with that, thanks, and I'll see you either in another video, in another update, or another course.